Good morning. My name is Miguel, and this is Saeed. And like 12 million Australians, half of its population were invisible. You won't see people like us on TV. You won't see us in Parliament. You won't see us in the boardroom. And that's because even though migrants or those with migrant parents are half of Australia's population, we are a minuscule part of its most influential people. The world is calling for its influences to more accurately and inclusively reflect the true diversity in society. That is the gap. That's our opportunity. And this is CultureShare.
CultureShare is a marketplace for supplier diversity. What is supplier diversity, you might ask? It is basically the active procurement of goods and services from culturally and targeted communities to meet business needs and social impact goals. For the communities and cultural businesses, our value proposition is quite simple. We bring businesses to them, we give them a voice, we showcase culture. And for the corporates, what we do is we implement and merge a CSR policy within their business value proposition. And we give them an opportunity to not only tolerate culture, but celebrate it quite vividly.
How does it work in practice? There are two elements to our business model: the revenue generating and the experiential segment of it. In terms of the revenue generating, we make consultations with suppliers to find out what they can produce that the market might want. And then we go to the customers and find out what their business needs are. We oversee the transaction, we take 50% of the profit margin as commission and pass on the rest to the supplier. Take this range as an example. This is a range of crockery that has been made by one of our suppliers, a Japanese woman, in the style endemic to the areas of Fukushima annihilated by the tsunami and nuclear disaster. Her existing clients include Kikkoman and Japan Airlines. She makes this for about $30 per unit, sells it for $40. We take 5, she takes 5. We also have engaged a textile community from Pakistan who has embroidered logos of our prospective partners, which include NGOs, sports teams, universities, and the corporate sector who have expressed interest in this product. This is how we have proven our concept, and this is where we are so far. But we can essentially expand this concept anywhere. Because we are doing this ourselves, the only overhead is quality control at this stage. Once we have made $25,000 in profit, we take it online. Create the online platform where the suppliers will create accounts, come up with their own product descriptions, customers will browse through it and message and instigate the inquiries on the platform, and the transaction will be processed online through our own accounts where we'll pass it on. Now, you may ask, what's different between this and any other online platform? That is exactly where the experiential component comes in, because we're not just selling the product, we're selling the cultural experience.
As we said, we're a bespoke cultural experience company. What we essentially do is we have workshops with the suppliers and the clients from the corporate market to immerse them in cultural diversity. Cultural diversity is a massive issue in Australia, and what we need to do is we need to bring out the voices of the minorities to the corporates. And the way we do that is through our workshops, our interactive sessions with them. Now, this serves as two purposes. One, to showcase culture, and two, to serve as an insurance for our products which might be defective, and as a quality. So as a matter of quality, if one product is defective, we will provide them with a free workshop to immerse them in the cultural experience.
In other words, we usually offer this workshop as an add-on, which they would pay for after they made the purchase. But we would waive this if they're not satisfied. Therefore, they can both learn about the process and also provide constructive feedback directly to the supplier so that they can improve for future purchases and orders. The second component of our experiential experience is a symposium, a TEDx-inspired quarterly one-night event where we invite the suppliers to showcase. We have talks, panels, and performances on culture. And we also invite corporates and we sell tickets to them as well as invite them to sponsor. There are three key purposes in this. Firstly, it shows the celebration of culture as an experience to remember. The second is that by putting many suppliers and many potential clients in the one event, we harness this collective energy to potentially compress this process in one night, by the entire sales process in one night, by getting them to fill in the form on the spot if they want to. The third is we are also making ancillary revenue. Roughly, it could be up $10,000 per event from the combined ticketing and sponsorship.
So who is our competitor? We have only one major competitor in Australia. They're called Supply Nation. Now, Supply Nation is a exactly similar business plan to us. What they do is they connect corporate Australia with indigenous communities. Now, the indigenous community only is 2% of our entire diverse communities. The remaining 98% have no avenue to go to. Thus, we don't see Supply Nation as our competitor. In fact, we see them as our validator for our business to exist, for the remaining 98%.
Might we also add that these are not just any companies. These companies are our first-degree contacts who we've already pitched this idea to and have either expressed interest or confirmed that they are going to make orders.
So why are we doing this? Well, first, we would like to say that we are professionals in our fields. I'm a lawyer, a corporate litigator. But apart from that, I run an NGO with 3,000 beneficiaries from the migrant and culturally linguistically diverse backgrounds. We are renowned worldwide in terms of our contribution to the society. We are renowned with universities and winners of Human Rights Award. But I also sit on the boards of different multicultural communities that are expressing this need for cultural diversity in Australia.
And as for myself, I'm a strategy analyst by profession, and I have the business acumen based upon this. My startup experience includes volunteering in Singapore, the Philippines, and Australia. In Singapore, the startup that I worked with educated migrant workers, business skills, and financial literacy. I also founded a student club for Southeast Asians in Hong Kong, thereby giving a voice to a minority there. And I took this to the most global of global stages, the APEC Summit, where I led the Australian News delegation. So what are we looking for? With $25,000 in funding, we can have demonstration products, so have a supply product line ready to showcase potential clients. We have full stack web development, and we can have risk management. We can have insurance for any products that may not exactly meet needs at this stage. And it's only going up from there. Once we do that and we have more clients, we'll move to the next stage of being able to develop the web platform, as well as upskill those who don't have the skills yet to reach the corporate market. Then the limits are endless. We can go internationally. We have contacts in Singapore, in the Philippines, anywhere, because migration is a universal issue. To talk about who we've got now, we've got clients including Asia Society, one of Australia's largest bank, actually, the Commonwealth Bank of Australia, as well as some of the big four auditors and law firms.
For us, this is more than just a business. It is bigger than you, bigger than me, bigger than this whole issues that we've presented. It is a global issue that needs addressing. As a refugee myself, I understand the need for supplier diversity in corporate market. I have struggled to reach the corporate ladder and be able to practice as a lawyer. But many of the refugees from Afghanistan, from Pakistan, from all around the world who come to Australia do not have that opportunity. We want to open the doors. It's time for them to be recognized. Thank you so much.
Thank you, CultureShare. We are now at question and answer session. Questions from the judges will begin now. Timer will start from the first question.
Okay. Thank you so much for sharing your passion. My question is, all these are all good intentions. I still want to hear your plans about repeated customers and how you scale these with the suppliers. You know, because the big corporations will 1 year order, and maybe next year they go somewhere else to diversify. Okay. Secondly, the suppliers are maybe cottage industry. And if you want to expand that, how are you going to control, how are you going to get them funding, how are you going to manage the inventory?
Thank you. Excellent.
I'll take the first one. So basically, scalability is a question that we'll need. We understand that we might face challenges on the supplier side to empower them to do better quality products. However, what we have tapped into at this stage is, as we showed, go back to the Japanese, as we showed, we have quality Japanese products at this stage that we are selling, that we are being the intermediary for the community to sell. Number two, our main audience in the corporate market is not necessarily all corporate market. We are targeting those corporate market who have a CSR and diversity policy to help multicultural communities. Now that includes the benefit corporations, which I actually work in one. That includes the big 4 banks. It includes more than 240 big corporates, big auditors in Australia.
Might I add to that, they're actually also members of Supply Nation, so they've also demonstrated that interest in that benefit market. To answer your second point, that's the purpose of the symposium. The symposium is also an accelerator because we have asked corporates to attend these events, and this is what they're interested in. They want to be present. They want to get their brand out there. In terms of actually going to upskilling, which is your second part, if I understand correctly, that is one thing that we are going to move to once we are getting to that web platform stage. So if you were to consider this as a part of leapfrogging for us to have all the funds and all the willpower compressed into one night, it will accelerate us to that next stage whereby, okay, now we have, right now we may be at the stage where we can only target established businesses from migrants and refugees, but then we can go down to we can go onwards to the even further stage, take one step further back to those who have just arrived and have virtually no means yet. So we are starting with those who are somewhat established, and then we're going to move to those who are less established once that traction gives us the room to do so.
At the same time, we are partnered with Catalyzer, which is an incubation project, and we have been partnered with them to give support to this refugee communities to make their businesses grow.
Well, you mentioned you would initially focus on clothing and crockery, but you also say that there would be a few other things that you would look at. I would like to know what you have any early thoughts on what you're planning to expand into.
We have a partnership with an Afghan-based catering company in Sydney, as well as a florist who makes these for events. We're also exploring potential areas such as stationery. Say, for example, Saeed's diary here was made by a law firm. Their next batch of orders is coming through us for diaries such as that.
I might just pass this around as a demo product. So that is ingrained within a corporate market, a benefit corporation that wants to create change, but also at the same time procure stuff that's related to their business, other than like do a CSR project that's quite unrelated to their core business value.
What benefits do you give to your suppliers other than access to corporations?
Well, the primary one, there's the tangible and there's the conceptual. You mentioned access to corporations as a tangible. And of course, when you consider that, that's a huge market already compared to what they can already service. So the businesses that we are targeting, they are probably only able to reach a catchment area of about 10,000 or so people within their immediate neighborhood in Sydney. And that's their sort of ethnic enclave, because Sydney has a lot of ethnic enclaves. The corporate market is, of course, we're talking in the areas of millions of dollars. To go straight to your question in terms of that, we also have the intangible, which is the overall awareness, as we mentioned, because of the fact that there's less presence of that diversity in the most influential sectors, such as corporate and political areas. That also means that the broader community has the opportunity to access, because of having established this network with the corporate, it's in Australia, they can have opportunities such as employment and other forms of education, for example, through the platform because of the connection that we've made between the two bodies.
We are already partnered with another startup called Refugee Talent, which actually seeks to employ refugees in corporate market. So what we want to do is essentially extend a helping hand to refugee talent through our suppliers to be able to employ these people down the track. But as a matter of fact, racism in a Trump era has become a global issue. And our aim is not only to give these people an opportunity to sell their products, but our aim is to ingrain culture subtly through the corporate market, which are the most influential market in Australia and the world, to be able to have something that's so tangible to them and not reject the idea of diversity.
So in short to say, the corporate market is much bigger than to say it's just one benefit. Secondly, we provide additional opportunities to the community at large through areas such as employment. And thirdly, there's also the concept of raising awareness and greater empathy through actually having that presence in Australia's most influential, or even the world's most influential areas.
I have a bit of a methodological question. I understand Supply Nation because it deals with indigenous people, and I understand the other one that you mentioned because it deals with refugees. And these are all very specific groups, specific target groups. You mentioned that the issue is a large one. Half the population of Australia are immigrants, and only 2% of them reach the highest level of management. But it is not a clearly defined target group. You will be able to find people, corporations who will support you in addressing the general issue of ill treatment of immigrants. But I frankly do not see how they can be strongly engaged if they do not have specific target groups to work with.
Absolutely. Now, Supply Nation's work is not only through procurement policies. What they do is they actually package their product. And the package includes a procurement side. It also includes workshops and promotion videos for the corporates to be able to brand what they're doing as part of their CSR policy. So essentially what we want to do is we want to be able to have a package, an add-on effect to the procurement policy. So you have your supplies that is procured, the diary, but at the same time we will give them an option of the workshops and the symposium to attend. These are part of what's called the continuing professional development goals that they need to meet as part of professionals. In Australia, lawyers have to do 100 hours per year to actually reach, to be culturally competent. And we provide them an avenue to do this in the most engaged, authentic cultural experience possible.
Yes. So in short, the workshop is how we make that more targeted. They don't just say we support diversity, we can say we support marginalized community X. The workshops and the symposiums are the value proposition that puts us above other online platforms, and the online platform is the value proposition that puts us above other cultural events.
Seeing this, please tell me how you share the culture with this product.
The ingrained mark logo on that is a subtle introduction of design. It's a subtle introduction of simplicity for a corporate market. Now, the culture is not so much in the final product. The culture is in the process. What happens is we have co-design workshops with the corporate to come up with that final product. And that is where you connect people directly to the corporate.
Not only that, but that would be, the current order will be done in the style and from the community from Afghan. So that would be in a canvas, and that will be using a textile pattern that is Afghan. So Mark can put its logo beside an Afghan text, or as part of an Afghan textile pattern, and say, because of this, they'll ask where it's from the Afghan community, they can talk about the diversity through that.
Time is up. Thank you, judges, for the questions and comments. Thank you, team.